Hello and welcome everyone to this second Human Variations eAF, previously known as study project. We have a second Go Live Q&A session. So we have organized these sessions for any potential user to ask any questions that you may have related to the use of the system, related to registration, related to raising bugs, any issue that you may have. We're here to help. So we wanted to have this interactive session so that we can address your concerns faster than hopefully via the service desk. And also if you have any feedback or input with regards to user materials, user guidance, we can help you with those as well. So please note this session is being recorded. So this is an interactive Q&A session where you can post your questions in Slido and we will attempt to, of course, answer to them in writing, but also here orally during this session. So I will hand over to my colleague to explain on the use of Slido.
Yes, good morning, everyone. So for sending your question, you have to join at slido.com via the QR code or the link and insert the code shown on the screen, so 2874178, and then you can send your question or upload the question you want to hear answered. So I think we can start from the question left from the previous session held on the 15th of November. I will show my screen. Okay.
Thank you, Anna Maria.
So first question is, may I know the progress of bugs creating during beta UAT? The bugs haven't moved from their current status.
Yes, so with regards to the bugs created during the beta UAT, we've received, or there were approximately 250 bugs raised, bugs and findings raised during that external beta UAT. We attempted to triage and analyze them during the UAT and address as quickly as possible before the go live the most important ones of those bugs. Since the UAT closed, we have not discarded that list at all. We are certainly working on a list of bugs and findings in order of importance. So we do prioritize them based on the impact and severity. The bugs that were raised in the ADO instance for that beta UAT were copied into our regular backlog. So we had a separate backlog where we raised the UAT coordinators raised the bugs, and we have then subsequently copied them into our usual backlog where they will be picked up by the developers because they don't have access to that particular beta UAT ADO instance. So if you were participating in the UAT as a coordinator and you would have looked at backlog, you won't see necessarily the status is updated. However, now that we are in production, we are aiming to publish regularly release notes and information on bugs that have been fixed and addressed and deployed in production. We had a production deployment on the 4th of November, which was our go live. And at the time we published a release notes document. It did not list all the bugs that had been already addressed prior to the go live. However, now that we have regular releases, we will be updating that document regularly, and the bugs that are addressed subsequently after the go live will be listed in that document. And that document will be available both in the forum the portal. So there's a forum page in the portal, a very important place where you can find latest updated documents. For example, we recently updated the registration guide. You can already find that in the forum, but also, of course, from the eSubmissions website, where it may appear occasionally a few days later than from the forum. Hope that addresses that question.
Okay. Next question, do additional local contacts, for example, consultants, need to be part of OMS before they can be added to the eAF?
So this question, so we have a registration process where you need to register to gain access via the EMA access management system. Then, in order to fill in certain fields, so for example, the contact person field or the reference MAH, the contact has the contact's organization needs to be in OMS. So if a consultancy is working for an applicant, the applicant needs to be registered in OMS and the applicant needs to be registered in EMA Access Management. The person from the consultancy needs to be registered in EMA Access Management in order to be able to be affiliated to the applicant organization in the EMA account management. But in OMS, if they want to use as the contact details address their own consultancy, then of course the consultancy also needs to be registered in OMS. But the registration or the use of OMS is very similar to as it was in the or is in the interactive PDF. So you will search your marketing authorization holder or your contact person's organization from OMS, but the contact details, the actual name, the telephone number, and the email address are free text fields, so those details do not come from OMS. Sorry, that was a bit of a lengthy explanation.
Okay. Next, when it will be possible to register for UAT for a national MRP DCP?
Thank you. We have had a lot of interest with regards to the second user acceptance testing for the nationally authorized products. We are still working on our backlog and looking at what would be the best timing to have this external UAT. We want to ensure that we have an external UAT that is meaningful and we are able to test the best amount of features that address and are required for that particular release. So we are still looking at the dates for release, for the release and for the UAT, and this information will be published subsequently on the PLM portal website, which is part of the eSubmission website. So the registration is not yet open. We are still discussing the process. How do we take this UAT forward and what is the best timing for this UAT?
Okay, next question. Does OMS and RMS interlinked with DADI at present?
Both OMS and RMS are being used in the web-based application forms. So the OMS is used to for the addresses in the application form, and RMS is used for most referential terms. So, for example, if you look at certain fields that, for example, in the past used to be tick boxes that were hard-coded in the interactive PDF form, they are now RMS list. But of course, for example, pharmaceutical forms are coming from RMS. A lot of things that, or we could say almost all of the things that used to come from RMS in the interactive PDF are also now coming from RMS. We, however, have one major difference. The products now come directly from PMS. So, for example, in the past, in the interactive form, you would type your product name and details, then you would select from RMS the pharmaceutical form, and then you would select from RMS the unit for the strength. Now the strength and unit and the pharmaceutical form are part of the product. So they are already coming from PMS as a package with the product. So there is a slight difference in certain fields how RMS is used, but in most of the fields it is very similar as in the past.
Okay. PLM portal access related question. Even though admin provided access to eAF application manager role in PLM portal, access is denied or disabled for a few users. Why? Second question, is eAF applicant manager role denied for admins?
I'll take this question. I was just writing the answer, but I can also say it. So regarding the first question, it's important that you verify that the eAF application manager role has been assigned to your account. So if you can please double check in the EMA account management portal in edit identity access. You have a list or a table including all the roles that are assigned to your account, and please make sure that this one is there. If you still face the issue when signing into the eAF portal, then please I would ask, we need to double check. So contact us via the EMA service desk with screenshots, your username, and then we can take it from there. And regarding the second question, is the eAF applicant manager role denied for admins? No. So the admin roles or the admin users can request the eAF applicant manager role to have access to the PLM portal. So they just need to submit it, and because they are admins, they would be needing to approve by themselves the request. So they need to request and approve. So it's not denied by itself.
Thank you, Joe. Next, could you confirm whether we can submit variation with the DADI eAF without the signature on it? If so, will this only be the case until future enforcement of the DADI variation eAF or also after it is enforced?
We have had quite a few questions with regards to the signature in the past, and we have had even many more discussions related to the whether signature is mandatory. In the variation regulation, a signature in the application form is not enforced. However, in the NTA form, the footnote 20 refers that the main signature is mandatory. In order for us to amend the NTA form, it is a bit of a lengthy process. We do not, however, at the moment enforce a signature. So if you submit an application form where there is no signature, we're not going to reject it based on the lack of the signature. However, we are still negotiating also with our legal team whether we can enforce a signature or not. It is felt that it does not add any value because, for example, if we look at into the interactive PDF form, we had to have a signature requirement because if the form is not locked, and the only way it was locked was by adding a signature, the recipient could accidentally edit the form. With the PDF rendition, it is impossible for the recipient to edit the form. You have to log into a secure portal in order to generate this form, and then you submit this form through a secure portal. Of course, what happens between you generating that form from the web user interface and submitting it to EMA via the e-submission gateway is uncontrolled, and that's where the concern by the legal colleagues is lying at the moment. But we're hoping that we can get this clarified. But in summary, for the moment, we are not enforcing the signature requirement. We welcome if you want to sign the form. It is absolutely okay to sign it using digital signatures. The digital signatures do not cause the submission to fail. So, and many applicants indeed have an internal requirement that forms must be signed. So, but it's not at the moment enforced.
Can you please tell the turnaround time for addressing PLM portal related issues in EMA ServiceNow?
As the EMA service now was recently introduced and the PLM portal was also recently introduced, we are still, let's say, honing down the process on addressing issues raised through the portal. We don't have an SLA yet for this process, but we're of course aiming to address the issues as quickly as possible. We know I'm aware that there has been some delays in addressing issues that have been raised through the portal at the moment, but we are working on that as a priority.
Okay. In most of our SMPS PCs, we have two products named, both brand name and generic names separately under section 1. One license with PRDs. As PMS ID considers product name in generating ID, we would like to know the impact on it in DADI.
That is quite a specific question also related to PMS. I don't know, Marcos, if you are able to address that, Marcos or Veronica, or maybe we need to take that question and come back to you outside this session.
So maybe I can provide, I think it's quite specific because I don't know specifically a SMPC with a brand name and a generic name, but we are aware that some products in the SMPC have different names. Also, for example, depending on the pharmaceutical dose form. So we have products with in prefill syringe or in prefill pen in the name. We are working now on splitting those products into PMS, and therefore they will be also split in the DADI form. So this is something that we are working on, and we will provide more information when we are ready to have this implemented in PMS and also in DADI. But we are aware of this with this issue, and yeah, we are working on that.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else we need to be registered in or take care of except PLM for using web-based eAF?
In general, no. So if you have done your registration through the EMA Access Management, you are affiliated to the marketing authorization holder. The marketing authorization holder and the companies that are concerned by any change. So, for example, manufacturers or a batch release site or whatever the change may concern are registered in OMS. There shouldn't be anything specific or anything different that you would need to use the web-based eAF. So the process is very similar to using the interactive PDF form. Of course, the experience is completely different and new, but in general, if your organizations are available in OMS, they are used from there the same way as they were in the past.
Okay. Can the coordinator role be represented by an admin's team within the company so that they can assign co-authors when someone associated to a product is on leave, or does it need to be a person related to eAF form population?
I don't know, Joao, if you want to take that, but just in general, from my point of view, the coordinator role can be represented by anyone. It's very hard to give a generic answer because companies are organized in such a different ways. And but remember that you can only log in as yourself into the system. So if you need to edit the form, then of course you need to be registered in the form. If you are filling in a form on behalf of the contact point because you have an organization where you have a team of colleagues working in the form, then that's absolutely fine. Nothing prevents the user who is logged into the system to type the actual contact person's details into the address lines. So it really it does have flexibility. So it doesn't need to be the person who is the contact person for the application who is filling in the form. But maybe Joao can add something here.
Yeah, no, I agree with your answer. Just maybe adding that that's actually the main purpose of the access management as we set it, to be flexible and to allow the organizations to do it in the way it works best for them. So yeah, you can give the coordinator role to your admins or not. So it's a decentralized procedure. Let's say the EMA approves or rejects the admin users, and then the admin users decides, or the company decides, how to best manage the access management. So yeah, you could do it, answering the question.
Okay. When publishing an ECTD sequence with an eAF form from PLM portal using the ECTD validation profile validation criterion 7.1, we get a best practice warning 15.pp3 with eAF not recognized, and so to not be called EMA form eAF.pdf. Is that okay?
Yes, so we have had some discussions at the Human Harmonization Group, and also with the EAF experts with regards to the need of updating the validation criteria. So currently with the best practice warnings, indeed they are what they're called best practice warnings. So you do not need to worry about that. If it's a pass-fail issue, then of course we would be very concerned. But with the best practice, you can just simply ignore it, and that's fine. And with regards to the next question, again, with regards to best practice warning, with regards to the attachments, again, it's a best practice warning, so those can be ignored for now. Of course, we will be updating the validation criteria. You may have seen on the eSubmission website that we're currently working on or updating the ECTD specification, and we've had a period where we've been asking users to raise change requests. There are some that we have also ourselves noted that we need to do with regards to the validation criteria. So the validation criteria is normally always updated subsequently when we are updating the ECTD specification. So in this case as well, we need to update the validation criteria also to reflect the, let's say, the change in the application form.
Thank you. Okay, next question. We also get
I've also addressed that one, so I kind of try to address both of them. That's okay.
Next one, when validation locking eAF on PLM portal, the validation page of the eAF does not show 0 errors of validation as it used to do, but blank page. Is that expected?
Here, I must say that we need to really look at this, how the form validation works. I have also noticed this. No matter how many errors I have left in a form when I'm doing testing and I generate it, it still shows 0. It doesn't show anything. not even the 0 errors, or if I have 10 errors, it doesn't show 10 errors either. So this is something that we will need to be looking into more carefully if there is a technical issue related to this area or implementation in this. So we'll definitely, it's not as expected, and it needs to be looked into.
Okay. I had a validation issue with eAF. In the issue, it is mentioned an information in EMA database. Can you clarify what is meant by EMA database? In my case, the issue was the MAH person contact address.
So if it relates to the MAA person contact address, that would relate to information in SciMed. So it sounds like there is a contact person address that is not aligned with our entry in our internal product database. So these addresses can, of course, be updated, but if you have a specific question related to this, I would suggest that perhaps the best way would be to contact the validation officer or the procedure manager, procedure lead via email to clarify on what action they are expecting. Can this address be updated by EMA, or is it that because of course the contact addresses as in the past are selected from OMS, so if there is a discrepancy between the address in OMS and in SciMed, is it still the same address that it can be understood as the same address of the same organization, or is it in fact something completely different? So the address is so different that it would require a new entry in OMS. So I can also check if with the procedure team if there are concerns like that, and how do we look that from our side without necessarily raising validation issues.
Okay. As CRO working for MAH, how do we need to ask for registration? Is it possible that CRO and the MAH representatives can work on the same eAF?
With regards to the registration, so normally CROs would need to be affiliated to the marketing authorization holder. Yes, it is very possible that they can work on the same eAF. So for this, you would need to follow the usual registration process. So you would register using the EMA account management, and then you would affiliate to the marketing authorization holder, who will then give you permission to access that form. So if the marketing authorization holder has created that form, they can invite you as a co-author to participate in the editing of that particular form. And depending on the level of access you have different access rights to see different things or do different things in that particular form.
Okay, so I think the time is over, so we can just back to just to announce the next step. So the next session will be on the 29th of November, and it will be focused on the access management part.
Indeed, and if there is still further interest and benefit of having these sessions, we can certainly schedule further sessions to be organized in the following weeks. Unfortunately, I will not be able to attend the session next Tuesday, hence the focus on access management and other aspects that can be covered by my colleagues. And we can then have a further session on more web UI related issues. If you have questions though, they can be of course added into the Slido, and they will be addressed in writing or in future sessions. Great. Thank you very much for good questions, and thank you for your participation. And we will be announcing further details on the future not access management, but future Q&A sessions. Thank you very
Yes.
much, and have a nice day.